What up YouTube? My name's Skybot, and today I'm going to be turning this Procreate sketch into a fully realistic Photoshop rendering. Let's do it. Alright, I'm starting off this project with a picture of a wolf. Now if you saw in this sketch, the woman has a wolf on her head, kind of as a trophy. PETA, don't come after me please. This is just art. So this is what I started with. And you saw me going around the edges there. I'm using the Refine Edge tool. If you haven't used this before, you gotta try it. This is something that's kind of new to me because in the old Photoshop, I never had this back 5-10 years ago when I started. So this is like a lifesaver for me for doing hair. So you can see the edges are pretty good. So the wolf eyes in my sketch were way bigger than the ones on this picture of the wolf. So I grabbed a picture of the eyes of a husky and I put those on there because I kind of wanted this wolf to have like an anime cartoon style, at least in the scale. So that's what I did next, and I'm just blending in the hair, and I'm going to go ahead and change the colors a little bit in a second here to try to mix it in. And I'm also using a hairbrush or a fur brush to try to blend in the edges, but it doesn't matter too much. As you can see, once you change the coloring, it kind of fits in. You know, it's not perfect, but it looks better than it did before. So the next thing I'm going to add here is the teeth. Now I tried to find some wolf teeth, but it didn't really work out. So I just grabbed a picture of some Halloween teeth of like a vampire or something. And I just started to work those out to fit the look I was going for and fit the sketch. So I'm just duplicating some teeth here. And you're gonna see in a second, I'm gonna select this big tooth and I'm gonna use the liquify tool to make it fit the sketch. You'll also notice that I'm only working on the left side of the screen. That's because a lot of this picture, a lot of my sketch is symmetrical. So I'm saving myself some time and I'm just creating the left half, which I know is kind of frustrating to watch, but I'm just creating the left half, and soon here I'm gonna duplicate the left half over to the right and you'll start to be able to see the full picture come together. Next thing that I did was I grabbed the face of a model or some woman online. You guys might know who this is. It doesn't matter to me. All I need was just a plain face, and I'm gonna warp it and move it around so much that it won't even really matter in the end. I'm also gonna grab a neck and a torso to fill in the lower half. So I just need body parts, as weird as that sounds, but I'm gonna move them around so much that it won't really matter too much. So the next part we're gonna do is the hair. And once again, I went to Google or Bing or your favorite search engine, and I grabbed some hair that looked like it would come close to fitting my original sketch. And you could see me just warping it and moving it around to try to fit the original look that I had in my drawing. Because that's the goal here. I just want to take my drawing and make it real. I don't want to change it up. I just want to try to replicate it as best I can with realistic elements and then tie them all together at the end. So you can see it's a lot of moving around. It's a lot of rescaling, warping. And all we're trying to do is match the original drawing as best as possible. Some changes need to happen, obviously, so that it looks good, but that's the main goal. So the next thing that you start to see me do is I'm using adjustment layers to change the levels and the brightness of the layer, and then I'm letting that show through in order to create shadows. So with these adjustment layers and layer masks, the effect is kind of a little bit better than just drawing a shadow on, because I'm actually taking the layer that I want the shadow to be on and I'm darkening it so that what I'm allowing to show through with the layer mask is the layer itself darkened, rather than just overlaying a black or a dark brown color over it. It's actually the color itself darkened. I hope that makes sense. You'll start to see me use this a lot here. I'm doing it again with the eyes. So you're gonna take a adjustment layer, change the exposure, you're gonna add a layer mask, and then you're gonna reveal that with the layer mask, and you're gonna paint it on. So I hope that makes sense. We're going to be doing a lot of it, and I'll talk more about it in detail if you guys want. And you can see I did the same thing for the face paint. All I did was add a hue and saturation adjustment layer, made that hue and saturation red, and then revealed it for the area of the face paint. It's a pretty cool trick, and you guys should definitely try it out. And obviously I'm going to do the same thing here for the paint on the lips, and all of this is in my sketch. So once again, just doing my best to replicate everything in my sketch. So now that we have the basic shape of the character down, it's time to add some details. So first, I'm taking a wood texture and I'm just warping it to fit the shape of the bow. And then once again, we're going in with the adjustment layer of the exposure, and we're painting in some shadows to kind of give the bow some depth. And you can see it kind of gives it a 3D look. Now, right now, the moment you've all been waiting for, we are duplicating the face and flipping it so that we can start to see what the actual character is going to look like. And once again, we're using the same trick of taking a texture and warping it to fit the shape of the sketch. This time it's a leather strap with some teeth on it. We're going to add the teeth later, but it's really just the same effect over and over again. And it gives a cool look. You can see that it kind of looks like the leather is warping around. And then we're adding our shadows and giving it a little bit of depth. So obviously I'm taking you guys through the whole process here. And sometimes you make mistakes, and here I'm realizing, looking at the right ear, that the left ear looked a little weird. Kind of looked like it was just like stapled onto the side of her head. So I'm going in and I'm trying to make it look a little more realistic, and I think that did work out in the end, and it looks a bit more like the ear is actually attached to her head. So I also had an idea that I wanted to make the eye of the girl match the eyes of the wolf on her head. That way it kind of gives her this power of the wolf type energy or something like that. I don't know, I just thought it was cool. So we're gonna do that now. So I'm also going to go in and change the color of the hair, because I thought the brown was just a little plain and I thought the red would be a nice pop of color. And you also see that I'm starting to add some highlights into the background. Now, my idea with this piece is I wanted to have the sun coming from the character's back right side, so that the right side of her face is illuminated with this nice yellow glow. And you can see I'm adding that to the right side of her face, our left. And it starts to give a little bit more depth and makes her fit into the scene and kind of brings all the elements together. So what I'm also doing is adding a dark green glow to the right side to kind of simulate some cast shadows and reflections of the forest to kind of tie her into the environment a little bit more. And all of this is the same we've done before. We're doing a hue and saturation adjustment layer. We're adding that color, and then we're just using a layer mask to paint it back in. And you got to be really selective and kind of look at some studies of light and how light actually reflects on things, and then you give a little bit of artistic freedom in choosing where to put it and how much to use. But it's really just, it's all about your eye and what you think looks best. So now we're going to add the teeth to the little bandolier that she's wearing, or the little leather shoulder straps. Now I actually just took the same teeth that I used for the wolf's mouth and just copied the big one over, and then we're just adding it to this leather strap. Now it's a small detail, and I did warp them a little bit so they don't look exactly the same, so don't tell anybody. But we're gonna do this, add the shadows and highlights, and then copy it over to the other side, and we're almost done. So after looking at the sketch, one thing I realized was that I forgot the little bite that's taken out of the wolf's ear. And I thought this was a cool little detail because I wanted to make it look like this was a really battle-hardened and aggressive wolf that this warrior from the jungle was able to take down. And it's just a story. Don't come at me, PETA. I'm just making this character and making up the story in my head. So hopefully no one's mad about that. I love animals too. This has nothing to do with that. It's just a fun little piece that I thought looked cool. That's really it. So at this point, I'm looking back at my sketch and I noticed there's a few little details that we still need to add. The piece is so close to being done, but I just want to add some details to really bring it to life that much more. So we're going to add those little details mostly jewelry and earrings and little things like that. And then we're gonna be done. So this artwork is just about done. I think it's time to just throw on a camera raw filter and then we'll be all done. And I'm sorry to those of you who are coming from my other social media who thought that I painted this whole thing. I didn't, I know, but I still love the result and I hope you do too. So get ready for the final result. Hope you guys enjoyed that. This is totally new for me, so trying new stuff on the channel. I really enjoyed it. I had fun. I think I'm going to do a lot more stuff like this. If you guys enjoyed, please drop a like, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.